Matter of balance. I think maybe now it's a bit too conformist for my tastes, but I'm sure it'll swing around.
What about writing a song for Gaga?
You mean like me writing a song?
Yeah.
I've never tried writing a pop song. I've played with a lot of pop stars at different times just as a sideman. I've never actually tried my hand just like writing a straight song. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine doing it because I don't really sing, or at least I sing really badly.
That would make you
My
far
daughter's
more
very happy to tell
influential,
me
too,
how
you know?
bad my voice is. So,
If you're top 100 most influential people, who influenced you the most in your life growing up? And can you talk a little bit about that?
well, growing up, I mean, my mom would certainly be the biggest influence. She died when I was 9, though. And as far as figures, wow, that's a really interesting question. I almost don't know how to answer that because it's too hard. In in music, I can answer pretty easily, but probably people you won't have heard of. Conlon Nankaro, you probably don't know who that is. And some people you might have heard of, Stravinsky and what have you. And
What type of writers have intrigued you the most?
Well-
in terms of novelists or fiction?
Well, it's kind of interesting. A lot of people write to me about the book and they say, do you realize your book reminds me of so-and-so? And it's always like, well, yeah, it should. And so, like, the list is Hannah Arendt, Walter Benjamin, Marshall McLuhan, Kierkegaard, Buber, Martin Buber. My grandfather was actually a close friend of his, and those are some of the ones that are important to me. And oh gosh. There are a lot of others, though. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. When I was younger, like as a teenager, I had this talent of ingratiating myself with older men who were at the top of their fields as a sort of adopted son or something, and a whole bunch of them took me under wing at different times, and I'm very grateful for that. And that happened in computer science a number of times.
Now, how much did your personality play into that?
and
in
in
your
math.
relationships, or how much
I don't
did
know.
your actual
It's a bit of a
skills?
mystery to me. Oh, skills, I don't know. I mean,
You're obviously a brilliant programmer. Computer programmer.
So, I mean, are you saying that the value of mentorship is huge and significant as a result of having, kind of
well,
like the
for me,
Outliers, and the
yeah.
Outliers book talks about, having
Outliers,
access
the
to.
book. Yeah, I don't know if I buy some of the stuff in the book. I think is right, and some I'm not so sure about. The funny thing is that I know a lot of the individual high-performing people that are featured in the book, so I have a very personal view of many of them. I think his stuff about how the moment you're born is important because certain things click together is probably true, and I think his thing about having to work really hard, whether you're talented or not, is absolutely true. Anybody who doesn't get that is a fool. I mean, it's always hard work. Even the people I know who pretend to be flakes who are successful they're faking.
I think I meant sort of
I mean,
more specifically,
like in the
though,
musical world, you'll see this a lot.
yeah.
Like you'll see some musician who's like, oh yeah, let's go get drunk and everything. And so, oh, except first we're going to reherse for 8 hours,
Exactly.
and we better get it's like, oh yeah, okay.
Well, that's one of the
oh
48
yeah.
laws of power, that act
So
as effortless.
there's sort of dishonest flakiness that goes about,
But the importance of mentorship, like
well,
actually having
yeah,
access to.
So I should thank a couple of people if I was going to do that. So I mentioned in music, Conlon Nankaro, Philip Glass would be another one. John Cage was very kind to me, and wow, I could mention Steve Reich, Terry Riley, Ornette Coleman. So. And then in computer science, I'd mention Marvin Minsky first of all, and Cordell Green, the father of logic programming, and Larry Tesler, who invented the browser, among other, browsing, and a bunch of other stuff. And God, I feel like I'm leaving out so many people.
Well, if you don't mind me asking a question, it was something that was fascinating to me when Tony was talking about, the decline of Obama, and you were talking about modernity and how when that goes wrong and we can't rely on it anymore, that fundamentalism goes up as well.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, no, I think he was showing, so he showed this chart showing Obama's numbers going down like this when unemployment goes like that. And the thing I would point out is it's not just Obama. It's like if the world isn't working for people, they're not going to support the world. And the modern world in general that we've created has to really work for people, or it will reject us. And I mean, it might not happen this year or next year, but in general, the world has to work for people or they start to get unhappy. And even worse, somebody exploits their unhappiness for some twisted other thing, and we're very vulnerable to that too. So I'm staring at a forest of flip cameras.
I know. This
Megan,
is sort of
take a
this
break.
very, very
Jared.